Presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Southwest. Texas Rangers baseball is presented by high-speed internet from AT&T. It is another gorgeous evening here in early August in Baltimore. Your Rangers looking to get back into the win column as they take on the best in the East, the Baltimore Orioles. And welcome in, everyone, along with Tom Graves, Steve Busby. Glad you could join us on this Thursday night of Ranger baseball. Rangers have dropped 2 in a row here in Baltimore, even with that new revamped lineup. But they get the final piece of the puzzle back in that leadoff spot tonight. The leader of the offense, hopefully, Shin-Soo Choo.
Well, it's nice to have him back, Buzz. The offense doesn't work as well without him on the sidelines. You put him at the top of the lineup, you get the best on-base percentage guy on the team. This year, even though he got off to a slow start, his on-base percentage is still .372. And in only 120, 125 at-bats, he's hit 7 home runs from the leadoff spot. He's hit very well in his career in Camden Yards. What the Rangers are hoping is that in the next 2 months, he approaches what he did in the last 2 months of the season before. If he does that, the offense is going to be pretty good.
Yeah, you've got that right, Tom. Now, the Rangers tonight beginning the final third of the 2016 season. They'll take on the Baltimore Orioles tonight. A.J. Griffin on the hill for your Rangers. We'll come back with the starting lineup to the first pitch right after this on Fox Sports Southwest. Baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer today during the Ford Freedom Sales Event and see why Ford is the best in Texas. By AT&T High-Speed Internet. Get a deal worth talking about. Get high-speed internet from AT&T. And by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. A beautiful evening here on Utah Street in right field at Oriole Park in Camden Yards. A lot of Ranger fans in attendance once again here this evening. Rangers looking to snap a minute 2-game losing streak against the Orioles. Before we get underway, let's head down and check in with John Radigan.
Yeah, Buzz, I saw Shin-Soo Choo in the clubhouse today, and I said, Choo, you're back. In fact, his back is back to normal, and it's awfully glad, as you guys mentioned, for all the reasons to have him back at the top of the batting order. No one more happy about it than Shin-Soo Choo himself.
I started feeling good probably last week. Yeah, when I started throwing, even short distance, still feeling good. Not like really different, like totally different than before DL. So I have to see Dr. Watkins. Like he give it exercise things and the treatment, get shot. That's really helpful after 1 week. So actually, I ready to play probably like last 5 days, 1 week. Yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that he's been ready to play for 5 days, I think, is really good news. The fact that his back's been feeling pretty good because of those treatments from Dr. Watkins in Southern California, guys.
All right, John, thanks very much. Well, nice to see Choo back at the top of that order, and he will be facing a familiar foe in Wade Miley tonight. Rangers have faced Miley 4 different times and a couple of times this year, so nothing secret about this southpaw making his first start in an Oriole uniform, and we are underway as Miley throws ball 1. Wade Miley, fastball, changeup, curveball. Not an overpowering pitcher. Rangers know him well, and they've had some success against him. Miley has not defeated the Rangers. Well, they just will try and keep doing what has been successful for them. No sense changing anything. Miley comes in with a 7.41 ERA against the Rangers in 3 starts this year. He misses inside. 2 balls and a strike. 6 career starts against the Rangers. Miley is 1-4. ERA just north of 5.5. And ball 3 is down and away. Well, Choo doing something that he apparently didn't leave on the disabled list. That's work a deep count in his first at bat. Hammers this one to right center field. Jones in a hurry, can't get there. 2 hops in off the wall, and welcome back Shin-Soo Choo. A leadoff gapper double. Choo aboard to start things off at second base, and Tom's going to tell you about the rest of the Southwest Airlines Rangers lineup.
Well, after Shin-Soo, it'll be Ian Desmond batting second, followed by the DH Carlos Beltran. Adrian Beltre is the cleanup hitter. Rougned Odor again will bat fifth. The new catcher, Jonathan Lucroy, bats sixth. Ryan Rua gets the start at first. Elvis is at shortstop, and Delino DeShields bats ninth and gets the start in left field.
No, Rangers with their leadoff man in scoring position for Ian Desmond. Choo with the leadoff 2-bagger. Desmond now hitting at .298. First time he's been below 300 in about a month and a half. Out of play to the right very quickly. Ian down in the count, no balls and 2 strikes. Desmond at .298 with 20 home runs and 63 driven in.
Having Choo back at the top of the lineup, he brings something that a lot of leadoff hitters don't bring, and that's power. That's why Miley threw him a 2-1 breaking ball. He missed with it though, and then he had to throw a fastball, and Choo hit it hard into the gap in right center field. And watching Choo take batting practice before the game, that's how he hit almost every ball he swung at. He looks great right now. No lingering effects at all from that back injury.
It would be great if the Rangers could have him at the top of that order for the last 54 games of the regular season. He was such a big impact last year, the last 2 months of the season, especially in September. It seemed like every time you looked up, he was on base. He was on base better than 50% of the time. 2 balls and 2 strikes to count to Desmond. Check his swing. Good take there, and it's a full count. Desmond trying to get aboard to join Chu. He'll be followed by the Ranger DH tonight, Carlos Beltran. Well, the Rangers punched across a run last night on Beltran's first Ranger home run. And down on strikes here is Desmond. A good breaking ball from Miley. One away, Beltran coming up. And before Carlos steps in, we'll take a look at the Orioles defense tonight. Kim, Jones, and Trumbo left, center, and right. Same outfield they had on Tuesday night, the first game of this series. Chris Davis, Jonathan Scope on the right side. J.J. Hardy, Manny Machado on the left with Matt Wieters, again, behind the plate. Beltran takes strike one. Carlos with those numbers overall. 323 home runs, 65 RBI, 2 for 10 against Miley. And he's down in the count very quickly at 0-2. Carlos 1 for 8 in his brief Ranger tenure. Our TXU Energy power player to watch. The man on your screen right there. Carlos Beltran, 39-year-old. Gets left-handed pitching, 7th in the American League with a .351 average this year. 8 home runs. And he fits right in with the rest of the Ranger lineup that has been very, very good against southpaws.
Yeah, we were talking about him in the pregame show. He obviously doesn't run or play defense like he used to, but he still swings the bat.
And Chu tried to avoid the tag. He does, and the throw by Machado in time to get Beltran. Well, Chu, I'm not sure whether it was a daring base running play or a mistake. But
well, from up here,
legged it out.
From up here, it looked like you would say to yourself, does he think there's 2 outs? He's just running right into a tag. But he knew what he was doing. And if it was a different runner coming out of the batter's box, Machado might have been too late getting the ball to first base.
You're right. No, 2 away. Here's Beltran. Ball 1 is inside. Beltran, another Ranger hitter that has swung the bat extremely well against left-handed pitching. Beltran, .333 the average. Hader in the count of 1 ball and 1 strike. 276 overall, 16 home runs, and 65 RBI. He's going to need a 2-out hit to bring home Chu. The right field, and that is slicing back into the seats. Very short down there, as you can see, 318 feet right down that right field line. 21 foot high. The scoreboard on top of the wall. That a very inviting short porch. And Beltran gone on strike. So Miley able to work around the leadoff double by Chu. He is left standing at third base. No runs to hit, 1 left. After a half inning, Rangers nothing. Orioles coming up. double in the top of the first. Now Tom's going to tell you about the Orioles lineup that will face A.J. Griffin.
Leadoff hitter is the center fielder, Adam Jones. Young-Soo Kim is in left field. Manny Machado is the third baseman. Chris Davis with 22 home runs and 60 RBIs is the cleanup hitter. Mark Trumbo is in right field. He has 30 home runs. Pedro Alvarez is the DH. He's batting sixth. Matt Wieters is the catcher. Jonathan Scope will bat eighth and play second base. And J.J. Hardy is a shortstop.
And Buck Showalter's lineup tonight, facing the 28-year-old right-hander for the Rangers, A.J. Griffin. Another San Diegan. A.J. Spent some time on the disabled list this year, a little bit of shoulder problems since then. Has not been able to take ball games quite as deep in the inning-wise as he was prior to the injury. Numbers overall, his 14th start of the year. At ERA just a click below 4 and a 4-1 mark. 2 balls, no strikes as A.J. missing high a couple times to Adam Jones, the leadoff man. Jones 267, 21 home runs, 63 driven in. 2-1. For A.J. Griffin, this is his first start in this ballpark. Never pitched here when he was a member of the Oakland A's. In fact, he's only faced the Orioles one time. That was back in 2013 in an A's uniform. Right-handed to the wide, the 2-1 pitch. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Owens very much a free swinger in that leadoff spot. Call strike 3. A.J. went upstairs with most of them and came down right at the knees, got the punch out.
Yeah, Adam, not really arguing with the umpire, just asking him where the pitch was. But as free a swinger as he is, he's not the kind of guy that takes borderline pitches with 2 strikes. He just might have been eyeing a pitch a little bit higher than that after he swung and missed with the pitch out of the strike zone. I might have thought A.J. was going to come back and try the same thing and just wasn't ready for that pitch down around the knees.
He might not take a borderline pitch 3-0. There's the way he likes to swing the bat.
That's true.
Young-Soo Kim up there, a .331 hitter. Highest among American League rookies. He pops one right back behind the screen and out of play. Back to take a look. Jonathan Lucroy, but it's back in the first row. Lucroy getting familiar with the surroundings here at Camden Yards and not seen this ballpark from a player's perspective a lot. 0-2 to Kim. Ball, strike 3. At the high away fastball, got the call from the home plate umpire, Trip Gibson.
Not exactly where he tried to throw it, but it's just about touching the top of the strike zone. There's a good movement on that pitch, tailing away from Kim. Kim's got a good eye at the plate. Last year in Korea, he walked 101 times, so he's got a pretty good idea what he's doing at the plate. I think that pitcher's a lot closer to the outside corner than he thought it was, though.
No, 2 away. Here's Manny Machado. Ball 1 to him. Machado at .304. 22 home runs, tied with his teammate Chris Davis in that home run race. 58 RBI for Machado. 1 ball, 1 strike. Machado in this series 3 for 8 with a double. 1 for 4 with that double last night. 1-2.
AJ, you think he's throwing 100 miles an hour? That pitch was 86 miles an hour right down the middle of the plate.
It's all the way to the backstop. It evens the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Take a look at the Ranger defense quickly. Brought to you by Brake Check. Outfield tonight, DeShields, Desmond, and Chu. Left, center, and right. Ruler the start at first. Odor and Andrews at the middle. Beltre at third. And Jonathan Lucroy is catching. Jay Griffin missing down and in. The count goes full. So Machado hitting third in the order, trying to get aboard with 2 out. Chris Davis, the cleanup man. is in that on-deck circle. Payoff pitch from Griffin. Center field, Desmond tracking this one. And it's a quick and easy 1-2-3 inning for A.J. Griffin. Orioles gone in order. We played one at Oriole Park in Camden Yards. No score. Thursday game is coming up on August 11th. The Rangers face the Colorado Rockies in a 105 game. The ground ball to first base. Odor's out on one pitch. On August 11th, the first 10,000 fans receive a Papa John's Texas Ranger Throwback Thursday collector pin. It's commemorating the Michael Young as the all-time franchise leader in hits. Get your tickets today at TexasRangers.com or call 972-RANGERS. A one pitch, one out here in the Rangers' second. Rubin pounds it into the ground. Now Jonathan Lucroy. Ranger catcher 1 for 6 as a Ranger, hitting just below 300. 297, as you can see, 13 home runs. Got his first Ranger RBI and his 51st RBI of the year last night. He's had some experience against Wade Miley. 333 average. Miley's next pitch. And it's 2-1. As you mentioned, talking about Wade Miley, Oriole pitcher making his first outing here in Baltimore. Not an overpowering pitcher, but very good control. And he will throw, that looks like the slider or cutter, whichever you'd like to call it. Also has that curveball and a very good changeup. He'll run the fastball a couple of different ways. One away from a right-hander and one keeping it in on a right-hander's fist. Lucroy, 53 games, he's been a .315 hitter. Hammers this one to deep left field. Going back is Kim at the wall. Goodbye. Jonathan Lucroy, his first Ranger home run. Texas on top 1-0.
Hey, you got a breaking ball, a slider or a curveball, kind of down and on the inside part of the plate. And he connected nicely with it, 7 or 8 rows back. Feels good to Jonathan. Had the RBI hit yesterday. A home run today. Carlos Beltran had a home run yesterday. Look at it, looked like a slider, down and in. Not a terrible pitch, but he golfed it right out of here.
Well, as last night, he's on top 1-0. Had a pretty good idea where that ball was going to land after he made contact with it. That's well back into the seats. Lucroy's first Ranger home run, his 14th home run of the year. For the Rangers, their 141st round tripper. Ryan Rua takes the pitch low. It's 1 ball and 2 strikes now. Rua getting the start at first base. This evening, Mitch Moreland, Nomar Mazara, the 2 left-handers that Jeff Bannister has put on the bench this evening, with Miley starting this ballgame. Call strike 3. Here's the changeup, and Ryan got fooled on it. Miley gets his 3rd strikeout. 2 away. Elvis Andrus will be next.
That's exactly where Miley was trying to throw it. Borderline pitch. Hitter's going to think that pitch is a little bit low. Miley made the pitch.
Yep. Might be right. It might have been a little bit low. Might not have been.
Just a matter whether you're a pitcher or a hitter. I guess how you look at it.
Elvis tried to swing at that exactly how Miley threw it. He took something off the curveball, and Elvis took something off his swing. 0-1. Elvis 5 out of 15 against Miley in previous matchups. That bluff bunt had Manny Machado coming in from third base in a hurry. 1-1. Elvis a .292 average. 1-2.
If you're a hitter, you have to be ready to hit, because Miley catches the ball, gets the sign, and he throws it. He doesn't leave the rubber.
A looping foul down the right side. That's back into the seats.
Jimmy and Pat Davis are here. They're from Waxahachie, here to cheer for the Rangers. Big Ranger fans. They walk around the concourse here before the game. You bump into a lot of Ranger fans.
Another fly ball. This one slicing into foul territory. Over his Trumbo.
Circus catch.
He turned that one into a circus catch. No, that'll do it. Rangers gone. But Jonathan Lucroy, his first Ranger home run, gets Texas on the board after 1.5. 1-0 Rangers. On Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer today during the Ford Freedom Sales Event and see why Ford is the best in Texas. Now the Orioles come to bat here in the second. Chris Davis starting things off is the cleanup man, middle third of the Oriole order, facing A.J. Griffin. Davis, a .221 hitter, 22 home runs, 60 RBI. Right into the teeth of the shift, and it's off the glove of Odor. And is far enough away from Rubned that Davis is aboard with a base hit.
He's out in right field. We've seen Rugi make some plays out there, especially on the last homestand. He made a bunch of plays out there. That was a tough one, though. That's a sinking, hooking line drive. It's tough to charge that ball. It's hit so hard. And by the time it gets to you, you realize it's going to be a tough hop, and that's about all you can do. Just try to pick it on the hop and hope it goes in your glove. I don't think there's anything else he could have done.
Well, 1 on, nobody out. Mark Trumbo with 30 home runs. He is tied for the major league lead in round trippers. 267 average.
It's the kind of ball you can't lay back on it. You don't have time to take a step back and get a good hop. And no guarantee you're going to get a good hop as hard as it was hit. You don't have time to charge it. You just kind of stand your ground and wait and see what it's going to look like when it gets to you. It wasn't that easy.
That is ruled a base hit, by the way. 1-1 pitch, and Trumbo gets one way up in the air to shallow center. Plenty of time for Ian Desmond to amble in to make the catch. That is out number 1.
Yeah, we're talking about Trumbo being kind of the epitome of a streaky power hitter. If you get him in the middle of one of his good streaks, when he seems like he's getting a couple of extra base hits every day, that pitch usually goes about 450 feet. When he's not swinging the bat quite so well, it turns into a pop-up. You just hope when you do face him that he's not going into one of his hot streaks. He's one of those guys that can carry a team for a week or two at a time.
And speaking of hot streaks, the guy at the plate now, Pedro Alvarez, had a pretty hot streak here on Tuesday night. Had a pair of home runs against the Rangers. He takes strike 1. With a little something extra to say to home plate umpire Trip Gibson. Alvarez 15 home runs now, hitting in an even 250. That will slice well back and out of play down the left side. Rangers in an overshift, but not an extreme one, with Elvis still on the shortstop side of second base by 2 steps. Adrian Beltre, as you can see, covering up that hole at short. Davis at first. He will draw a throw.
Well, he stole a base last night. AJ's just making sure he doesn't try again. First attempt at a stolen base last night, and he was successful.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Alvarez, last 5 ball games, has been on fire. 3 home runs, a .421 average. For Alvarez, streaks like this not uncommon for him. Had a lot of success over in the National League last several years. Go back to 2012. He's hit 126 home runs. Double play ground ball, Odor. Andrews. Rua. 4-6-3. The Rangers only wait 1 inning to turn their first tonight. No runs, a hit, and nobody left for the Orioles. Rangers by 1 after 2. best ways to save at the ballpark. Find tickets, parking, and meal deals for just $10 each on most Tuesday home games. Visit TexasRangers.com/specials to secure your $10 Tuesday tickets for August 16th. The A's take on the Rangers that night. Delino DeShields, the number 9 man in the Ranger order, leading off here in the 3rd inning. Will be DeShields and back to the top of the order. Rangers leading 1-0 on the strength of Jonathan Lucroy's home run in the 2nd. Finally back to the plate, ripped into the corner in left field. That's going to be extra bases for Delino. Kim plays the carom. DeShields steaming into second with a leadoff double for the 2nd time now in 3 innings. The Rangers have their leadoff man aboard in scoring position.
Yeah, Delino's taking advantage of the opportunities when he's in the lineup by making things happen. A nice game against Kansas City not too long ago, and nice start to this game for him in the 3rd inning. You get a man with his speed on second base with nobody out, top of the lineup up. I feel like you got a pretty good chance to score a run right here.
Well, now Chu, who had the other leadoff double, was leading off the game for the Rangers. Step in. Shinsu, now a .266 average. Takes that first pitch low for ball 1. Chu, a pretty good bet to at least get DeShields over to third. He's got Machado, the third baseman, playing up right at the cut of the grass. Guarding against a possible bunt. Chu not showing bunt that time, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. The rest of the Oriole defense, a couple of steps to the right for Chu. A little bit low, 2-1. Chu with 7 home runs, 17 driven in. Two balls, 2 strikes. 2nd straight time that Miley has gotten to 2-1 and thrown Chu a breaking ball or a cutter.
And then Chu's kind of leadoff guy. You just can't throw a fastball to get a strike. Otherwise, you risk having him trot around the bases.
And that check swing makes it 3-2. Now Chu trying to get aboard to join Delino DeShields. Ian Desmond, the Ranger number 2 man, is waiting. Miley okays the sign. He's ready in the payoff pitch. We'll reset and try it again.
Donna Glasgow is in town visiting her sister, her husband, and her daughter. She wants to give a shout out to all her co-members of the Texas Rangers Women's Club and to her friends Beverly and Steve. Glad you're here, Donna. The Rangers can salvage the 3rd game of this series for you and all the other Ranger fans that are here. Attaboy.
Chu reaching, gets the job done as Scope throws him out at first. On to third goes Delino DeShields. Chu, a very productive out there. The job done. So 1 out. Ian Desmond coming up before he steps into the batter's box. We'll send it back to Rick Renner for a Chevy game break. The Rangers playing some very solid fundamental baseball. They get the leadoff double, 2 ground outs later. They have a run across, and they have increased their lead. Now it's 2-0 Rangers.
Yeah, and when you play like a team, you have hitters that are willing to do that. They're not up there saying, I've got to get a base hit. They're saying, how can we get this run home? And Chu pulled the ball on the ground, got the man to third base. Ian saw the infield back. Well, he knows that if he hits a ground ball to the second baseman with a shortstop, he gets a run. That's all he was trying to do.
Carlos Beltran now with the bases empty and 2-1. The foul ball is down to the count No balls and 2 strikes. Beltran grounded out to third his first time. He lifts another foul ball back into the seats. Miley with another 0-2. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Reaching and hit down the left field line. Fairly deep, long run over for Kim. He can't get it. By the time he recovers into second, Carlos Beltran, the looping double to the left.
Yeah, Kim, as long as that ball hung up in the air, Kim must have been playing way over toward left center field. It was just kind of a lazy fly ball down the left field line. Pitch outside, not really that far outside, but low. He had to reach for it. And you can see Kim coming running from left center field. Couldn't get there.
Yeah, he was way over in left center.
Must have been.
No, second double of the inning for the Rangers. Now Adrian Beltre trying to capitalize on this one. He takes strike 1. Beltre down swinging his first time up. Adrian at 275 with the average. 1-1. Beltre, a lifetime 250 hitter. Shallow right center. Coming on in is Adam Jones to make the catch. That'll do it. Rangers get a couple of hits. The inning, score a run, and Strand 1. After 2.5, Rangers 2, Orioles nothing. Tonight's greater coverage of baseball brought to you by T-Mobile. Albert Pujols with his 12th career walk-off home run last night. That's most among active players, one shy of the Major League record held by Jim Thome. Continuing, Miguel Cabrera with the Tigers at his 25th home run of the year today. 4th active player with 12 or more 25-plus home run seasons. Matt Waiters, it's a lazy pop-up on the infield.
He was not too thrilled with it either.
No. Oh, with 1 out, Jonathan Scope coming up. Let's check in with John Radigan.
Yeah, Buzz, A.J. Griffin takes the mound tonight, basically trying to pick up where the 2 pitchers before him left off.
That's kind of what we saw this last time through the rotation, I think. You know, Cole went out there and had a really good outing against the, who was it? The Royals, right? Mm-hmm. And, you know, he went 7 or 8 innings, 1 run, and you know, you go out there and you're like, man, Cole did it last night. It's my turn now to get it done. So, yeah, that friendly competition is always huge, just kind of pushing people to excel.
It was definitely working for them in the beginning of the year. And even though the Rangers lost the last 2 games, guys, we know the starting pitching really was pretty good. So AJ just trying to pick up where they left off.
Yeah, good points, John. And that rotation now has gone at least 6 innings in 4 straight games. And that's a better roll than they've been on for quite a while. As a matter of fact, you have to go back to the first week in June to find a longer run of 6 or more innings out of the starting rotation. And Yu Darvish and Cole Hamels, big part of that. Lucas Harrell was in there, and Martin Perez. Big slow curveball. Jonathan Scope waving at it for the 3rd strikeout of the night. 2 gone.
That's the first one he's located down in the strike zone. Most of the slow curves he's tried to throw, several of them have just stayed way high. This one had the bite to it and worked just like a changeup. You can tell how far out in front of that ball Scope was. That's a big part of the success that A.J. Griffin has, is the ability to throw that slow curveball.
J.J. Hardy now, the number 9 man, takes strike 1. Hardy, as you can see, .272 average with 4 home runs. And he's going to have his first hit of the night in his first at bat. 2-out single to center. So Hardy had 8 chances before he got up there to take a look at what A.J. Griffin was featuring. Waited on an off-speed pitch and got it right back through the middle. Now that'll take the Orioles back to the top of the order for Adam Jones. Jones called out on strikes to begin things for the Birds tonight. .21 home runs for Adam Jones, 63 driven in. Center field hit pretty well, but room out there. That's the deepest part of the ballpark. Ian Desmond able to capture that, and that will do it. So no runs, a hit, 1 left after 3. Rangers 2-0 over the Orioles. And now let's go to Aaron Hardigan in our Rooms to Go lounge. Rangers baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by Southwest Airlines and by Mazda. A beautiful evening here in Baltimore. Oriole Park at Camden Yards with the B&O Warehouse out there in right field. Here's the first pitch from Wade Miley as Rougned Odor was backing out. I don't know if he thought that Tripp Gibson has given him time or not. We'll get it straightened out here. But it is strike 1.
Yeah, it looked like he stepped out and assumed he was going to get it.
Yeah.
But as you said a number of times, Buzzy, Once the pitcher starts like that, it's really unfair to the pitcher to expect the umpire to call timeout.
Pitch nestles into the outside corner. 1-2. Odor, the tapper down to first base. His first time up. Call strike 3. Well, Miley staying right out there on the outside corner and got Rougned looking. One gone.
There's a little telltale sign when the catcher moves his glove back toward the strike zone just a little bit. Maybe it wasn't quite on the corner.
Well, 4 strikeouts for Miley. Jonathan Lucroy pounded his first Ranger home run deep into the seats in left center field first time up. 2 balls, no strikes. Watching Lucroy, what I remembered seeing him in spring training especially was that he was kind of a slashing hitter, kind of like Ian Desmond, going line to line. He has certainly shown power over the years with the Brewers and the ability to hit for a good average. One of the top hitting catchers in the game of baseball today. 3-0 pitch, catches the upper reaches of the strike zone. It's 3-1. Well, Lucroy with 1 out, trying to get aboard here in the 4th inning. Ryan Rua, the Ranger first baseman, will follow. And a strike at the knees. Lucroy was getting ready to take off his shin guard, head to first, and Trick Gibson said, "No, I want you to hang around here a little while longer."
Yeah, I would say that over the last couple of days, the pitchers have very little to complain about. I think the strike zone has been somewhat liberal. If it's close, for the most part, it's been a strike.
Now the payoff pitch. Machado has a nice hop to work with at third. 2 gone.
Love to watch Machado throw from third base. He's one of those defensive players that if you put him on the mound, you'd see about 95 or 96. He doesn't just lob the ball to first either. He throws it with something on it almost every time. He's got a great arm.
Here's Ryan Rua, who was called out on strikes in the 2nd inning. Rua at a 271 average.
Miley's living on the fringe the best that he can, and as long as he keeps getting the calls, I don't blame him.
Got that pitch in on Rua's fist. It's 0-2. Rua's had at least 1 hit in 8 of his last 10 ball games at a .313 clip. That's out of play to the right. We talked about first time up. Rua, one of those guys that really been feasting on left-handers. Breaking ball just hung a little bit outside. 1-2. Call strike 3. Second straight time that Rua has gotten rung up on a called third strike. 5 strikeouts tonight for Miley after 3.5 Rangers by 2.
Welcome you back to Baltimore, and you know that on these road trips in most cities I try to seek out a pizza place, and last night I was not only looking for pizza, but I was looking for something the locals had told me called Old Bay beer. That's when you put Old Bay seasoning into a beer. I didn't find that. I found pirate beer, but I didn't find any Old Bay beer, so I tried to make my own because every restaurant around here pretty much has Old Bay seasoning, and you see the pitch, and there it was, right on the table, the Old Bay, but I put it in beer and it didn't work, so that wasn't good. But what did work was the pizza. I mean, the pizza that we found last night was unbelievable, as it was with prosciutto, pancetta bacon, sarsaparilla, which I'd never heard of, but it's a dry salami, chopped basil. Maybe the best pizza we've had on the road so far this year, and that's even not the reason I was there. The reason I went to this place was that. Johnny Rags. Are you kidding me? They named it after me.
Wow.
So I thought, at least I get a free meal, but I'm looking for percentages. I want like a cut of the profits they make there. But not only did I not get that, I didn't get my pizza for free. But it was very, very good pizza, guys.
Very good, John.
Rads. Look at that blast. Better check your thumbs on that one.
Yeah.
Let's see where this ball hit the bat.
That looked like a swing at Ichiro to take it.
Yeah. Only Ichiro, it would have fallen right in front of third base for a base hit.
Well, 1-2 the count to Kim. Breaking ball is well outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Kim called out on strikes back in the first inning. A.J. Griffin, 3 strikeouts through the first 10 hitters. Now make that 4 as Kim rung up for the second time tonight. We talk about John Rattigan, and it seems like every time we have a road trip where he's going out, he is going to eat somewhere. And I don't know how in the world I'd weigh 500 pounds if I were like him, but this is what John Rattigan does to work it off. This was today.
That's what John does during the day, so he can eat that pizza at night and break even.
I tell you what, Jeff Irwin, our photographer, he didn't take that picture. I run so slow. He painted that. That's actually a painting, not a picture.
No, Jeff had a 20-pound camera running backwards, filming you while you were running toward him.
Yeah, guarantee you, he would be able to. He wouldn't have to go very fast.
This is a great place to run, though, isn't it, John? Down by the Inner Harbor there.
Oh, it's spectacular.
Yeah.
Run all along the water there, and there's lots of fans and families, and this is a great. I love coming to this city. It's a really fun place to come.
I think everybody that I talk to that comes to Baltimore for the first time says, I had no idea it was this nice. It didn't used to be.
Yeah,
back when we were playing, Buzz. I don't think anyone wanted to come to Baltimore.
We could remember walking downtown in broad daylight was a little bit of a problem.
Yeah.
Much less after the sun went down. Yeah.
It's a major transformation.
Sure is. It is beautiful. 1 ball and 2 strikes the count. Machado reaching for a pitch. He pops that foul back right over the Orioles dugout. A 1 out here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Machado will fly it out to center field his first time out. A.J. Griffin is 43 pitches into the ballgame. He's retired 10 hitters. Another foul off the bat of Machado.
I think many players that rank the hotels would look at the hotel we stay at here in Baltimore and say it's one of the nicest. Once you get, I think they were on the lower floors. If you were on one of the higher floors and got caught near the construction, you might not have thought that about this hotel.
Got him swinging. There's that big slow
He's dazzling him right now.
5 strikeouts.
But way back in the 70s, when the players were staying at the Lord Baltimore, not many of the players were talking about the virtues of that hotel.
You were hoping for construction in that place.
Other than they had big rooms. I remember the rooms.
Yeah.
Most of the rooms, you had a roommate back then. You didn't have a single room, but most of the rooms were single rooms where the wall had been knocked down. So there's a bathroom on each side of the room and 2 big beds. The rooms were huge. So in that regard, it wasn't bad. There's just nowhere to go in Baltimore back then. You could find somewhere to eat lunch, but after the game, there was nowhere to go.
Yeah, you're right. Chris Davis reaching out, poking one to right center. And is playable for Ian Desmond. And that'll do it. 3 up, 3 down once again. Through 4 innings now, A.J. Griffin and the Rangers have a 2-0 lead over Baltimore. For the next Texas Chili Company Dollar Hot Dog Night. That's coming up on Wednesday, August 10th. The Colorado Rockies are in town to take on the Rangers. Head on out to Globe Life Park and enjoy all the hot dogs you can eat for just $1 each. Get your tickets at TexasRangers.com or by calling 972-RANGERS. The Rangers come to bat here in the 5th inning. Number 8 hitter Elvis Andrus to lead things off. He'll be followed by Delino DeShields and Shin-Soo Choo. Elvis takes a strike. Andrus fouled out to right field his first time up. Rangers 2 runs on 4 hits. 3 of the 4 hits have gone for, or make that all 4 hits. Have gone for extra bases, 3 doubles, and a home run. Oh, 2 to Elvis. 291 average after his foul out the first time.
This is one of those games, Buzz. If you're the pitcher, you say to yourself, if I can make the pitch, I can have a pretty good night tonight because I don't have to throw it anywhere near the middle of the plate. I can just locate it around the edges. Yeah. I've got a pretty good chance of getting the call. And, you know, they're not outrageous strikes. They're borderline pitches, not like they're 4 or 5 inches off the plate. But you're not being penalized for trying to hit the corners. You're being rewarded if you come close.
As a hitter, do you recognize that before you ever go to the plate the first time, or does it take one time?
No, I think you probably have to. I guess if you really study the umpires, you might have a good read on an umpire. I don't know that we did, at least I didn't.
Right.
Before the game started, but I don't think it takes long as the game goes on to realize it.
Elvis to the gap in right center. Jones to cut it off. Elvis going for 2, and he's going to make it with a head first slide.
I think he surprised Adam Jones. I don't think Jones thought he was going to go. Elvis took the big turn. Jones took too much time. Then he had to rush his throw, and it wasn't accurate. And Elvis kind of stole one on him right there. Instead of coming up, anticipating it, he came up and looked, and then it was too late. Elvis is thinking now. He's thinking, says, I'm going. And he made it.
You know, that's a hustle double for Elvis. No, Rangers' 4th double of the night. Their 5th extra base hit. Delino DeShields going to bunt his way aboard, and it stays just foul. Delino was kind of watching that. You trying to decide whether he should run or not. It veered a couple of different ways. And finally decided, well, I better get going to first just in case.
If he kept it on the grass and bunted it about 2 feet farther, he would have had a base hit.
Yeah, he's not going to. I better go. 0-1 the count. And again, Delino trying to get Elvis over to third. Get the ball to the right side, or you bunt. He's going to bunt again. This one right back to the pitcher. They've got to play at third, and they get Andrew. Oh, the bunt right back to Miley. Goes 1-5 on the put out at third. One away now with DeShields at first.
Not exactly sure where he's been trying to bunt those balls, but with man on second, Chris Davis has a good arm at first. You don't want to bunt it hard first. You certainly don't want to bunt it to the pitcher. All you have to do is bunt it hard toward the third baseman, and you've got the sacrifice bunt.
Well, we'll see if Delino now can swipe a bag and get himself in a scoring position for Shin-Soo Choo. Miley has a good pickoff move. If you didn't know it before, you can just see that. Delino DeShields scampering back. Well, Miley has picked off 5 this year. Up the middle, that's a base hit. DeShields will pull into second. Boy, Choo smoking that ball. He's 2 for 3 now, a single. That followed his double back in the first inning.
That's a pretty nice job of hitting right there. Trying to throw that ball outside, but he ends up throwing it right down the middle of the plate, and then he has to duck to get out of the way of that bullet that Choo inside-outed right by him.
That's the Rangers' first single of the night. There's 6 hits. 2 on, 1 out for Ian Desmond. Changeup floats wide. Desmond has struck out and grounded out to second. His ground out drove in his 64th run of the year. That was in the 3rd inning. Good speed on the base pass for the Rangers. Oh, a cue shot. That's going to find its way into right field. DeShields coming around third will score. Choo on around second to third. The Rangers on top as Ian Desmond gets the RBI, his second of the night. It is 3-0 Rangers.
I'm not sure what happened to Chris Davis on that play, whether he got screened out and lost the ball or whether he slipped. Let's take a look. I think he got screened out by the runner. Never saw the ball.
I think you're right.
Because it wasn't hit hard, and it was right there. He just never saw that ball.
Yeah, that's not the kind of play you'll see Chris Davis make. He's a good fielder.
He's a very good fielder.
No, Rangers will certainly take it. And Desmond with the RBI, and Ian had a lot of problems with runners in scoring position. I mean, 1 for 16 with runners in scoring position before that base hit. Well, 3-0 Texas. Here's Carlos Beltran looking for more. Popped up to shallow right. Scope going out. Makes the play and then drops the ball. In to score is Choo. The Rangers lead it 4-0 as Carlos Beltran hit a little looper that it looked like Scope was going to have, and it popped out of his glove at the last second.
Yeah, Carlos got jammed, and Rangers ended up okay on it. Scope's a terrific defensive player, nice athlete, but got to that ball and couldn't catch it. There goes Scope after it. He just missed it, never touched it. It hit the side of his glove.
And when I saw that from, we're sitting up here, I thought that popped in his glove, and it didn't. You're right. Missed his glove altogether.
You're just assuming that he was going to catch it. I thought he was going to catch it.
He thought he was going to catch it. No, a base hit and an RBI for Carlos Beltran. Rangers on top 4-0 now. Dave Wallace, the pitching coach, out to try and calm things down a little bit. Runners at first and second for Adrian Beltre, who is 0 for 2 tonight. Beltre, a strikeout, a fly ball to center. 1-0. Adrian scuffling it a little bit of late. He's just 2 for his last 20 times to the plate. 1 ball, 1 strike. Go back over the last 11 games, though. Beltre has been a .326 hitter. Got Desmond at second, Beltran at first. Out of play to the right.
Oh, you look at the last two RBI hits the Rangers have had. One was a slow roller that it appeared Chris Davis was blocked by the runner and couldn't catch, and the other was a blooper that Scope couldn't catch. Kind of like the first inning that the Orioles had last night.
They just haven't had a walk mixed in there. It would have been a big inning.
Yeah.
Michael Givens loosening in the Oriole bullpen. We mentioned that Wade Miley has not had a lot of luck against the Rangers. It's 1-4 in his career. This year, he is 0-2, but rather untidy ERA. ERA up around 7.5, just under 7.5. Worked 17 innings, 14 runs. Now you can add 4 more runs to that in 5 innings. 22 innings and 18 runs allowed. Beltre skies one to straightaway center. Jones with the catch. Everybody stays put. There are 2 outs. Wiley now will face Rougned Odor. Odor has tapped to first and been called out on strikes. Desmond getting his lead from second. Beltran away from first. Infield slightly around to the right side for Rougned. Did he go around? No, he did not.
That was a weird check swing.
It was.
It looked like a swing. I guess the bat never went forward, though. Just his hands.
Odor with 3 home runs in his last 6 ball games. 2-0.
See if it's as weird as we thought it was. It was kind of weird, but he definitely held the bat back.
Almost looked like the start of that swing that Pete McCannon used to show people.
Yeah. Quickest swing in the West.
Yeah. We'll have to have you demonstrate that one.
Yeah,
day.
you know where we learned that? We all played winter ball together. Rick Dempsey does some TV work for the Orioles now, a big league catcher for 20 years. We were all playing in Caracas together, and he brought that out one day, and took Pete and I about an hour to learn how to do it, but we've had a lot of fun with that over the years.
2-2 to Odor. Yeah, I saw I ran into Rick last night up in the lunchroom up here.
Did you?
He's doing great.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yes, he is. One of the ultimate showmen in baseball.
He was. He could do the Babe Ruth imitation. He could do an Earl Weaver imitation.
Rain delays. He put on a great exhibition sliding on the tarp, the Babe Ruth thing.
We were walking down the street in Caracas one day, and this family was playing makeshift instruments and trying to get people to give them some money.
That one's off of Miley. Karam's right to Scope, who throws out Odor.
Well, he got a break on that one. Couple he didn't get a break on, but that was headed up the middle for an RBI.
And Miley limping off the field. The Rangers, though, add on 2 runs. They lead 2 halfway through the game. Rangers by 4. more to up their lead to 4-0, and it could have been more, but Miley got in the way of that rocket off the bat of Rougned Odor. Karen right to Jonathan Schoop, and Miley not walking too sure-footedly.
He had a couple that didn't go his way that inning, and I think if he had his choice, he probably would rather have seen that go up the middle than break his leg.
No kidding. Michael Gibbons had been throwing. We'll see if he continues to throw. It doesn't look like Miley is going to be able to continue. I would think
Doesn't look like it.
Not able to put a whole lot of weight on that.
I say broke his leg. I have no idea what happened to him. I don't think he did that, but he got hit hard. That ball didn't just glance off him. It was totally redirected.
Now Mark Trumbo leading off the Orioles' 5th inning. Ahead of the count, 2 balls and 1 strike. And Miley's packing up his gloves along with the Orioles trainer. He's headed back to the rough alley. That ball's hit deep to center field. Desmond has run out of the room. That ball's gone. Mark Trumbo is 31st home run of the year. It's a 4-1 Ranger lead.
Well, Trumbo just missed one the first time up. And, you know, AJ's got a 4-run lead. He got behind 3-1. He doesn't want to walk the leadoff hitter. And that's a bad guy to have up there under those circumstances where you feel like you need to throw a fastball for a strike. Trumbo knows it as well. Trying to get it outside, but he got the middle of the plate. And Trumbo, with his power, just launched it.
Now this ballpark can give you some relatively short home runs. That wasn't one of them. It was well out over the 400 mark. So a 4-1 ball game now, and Pedro Alvarez facing A.J. Griffin. Big slow curve, and Alvarez.
He almost fell down taking that pitch.
That home run, by the way, for Trumbo, it was the 11th hit off of A.J. Griffin this year. A.J.'s had some problems in the 5th inning of his starts ever since coming back off the disabled list.
Yeah, they seem to center around command.
Yeah.
Not being able to get ahead of the hitters and throwing the same strikes.
And that ball is hammered high and deep to right field. That is going to leave the ballpark. Alvarez with his 3rd home run in this series. It's a 4-2 Ranger lead. Alvarez, number 16 for the season.
Well, there's a changeup, but it's too high. If you throw that ball down low, you might get him out in front of it, but that high, that strong, that's one of the things about these hitters. They can be out in front of it, but if they get the good part of the bat on it, they've got the strength to hit it out of here.
Well, the Orioles with 2 home runs in this inning, now 160 for the year. They are far and away the team leaders in the home run race. Matt Wieters a pop out to second, his first time. And he pops this one up on the left side of the diamond. Beltre right near the bag. Wieters fouls out. That's out number 1 before Jonathan Schoop comes up. We're going to send it back to Rick Renner for a Chevy game break. All right, Rick, thank you. Jonathan Schoop gets hit right in the middle of the bat. First pitch from A.J. Griffin just drilled it. And Schoop, who struck out his first time, is going to reach with a little bit of a sore back.
Yeah, that's the last thing that A.J. Griffin wanted to do in that at bat, was put someone on base.
And Elvis in to see if he can settle things down just a bit. Fastball just tailing up and in. Nowhere for Jonathan Schoop to go. And you saw A.J. Griffin's reaction. So 1 on, still just 1 out. J.J. Hardy single to center. His first time steps in. Hardy a .275 average now after the base hit in the third. Rangers have turned one double play tonight. Ideal time for their second. 0-1. Back-to-back home runs to open the inning for Trumbo and Alvarez, the 12th time this year. The Orioles have had back-to-back home runs. 0-2. Michael Gibbons again up and throwing, so we no doubt will see the right-hander to start the 6th inning. Jonathan LaCroix throwing the signs out, the 0-2 pitch. That's a big slow hook. Almost caught the inside corner. That is very close. 1-2 pitch. That one hung up, but no way that J.J. Hardy could wait quite long enough to hit it in fair territory. Oh, A.J. Griffin went through the first 4 innings, allowing just 2 base hits. Usually up the back-to-back jacks to start this inning. He hit Jonathan Scope after he got the first out. Scope now at first base. Ranger infield in a double play depth. Andrews and Odor a step around to the left. Popped up. Elvis backpedaling into shallow center, calling everybody off. 2 out. Well, the fans have voted, as you all well know. The first 15,000 fans now, 14 and older, will come out to the ballgame on Saturday, August 13th. Will receive a Snapple Brookshires fan vote Rangers t-shirt selected by you, the fans. Don't miss this special giveaway as the Rangers take on the Detroit Tigers. Get your tickets at TexasRangers.com, or you can call 972 Rangers. Speaking of the Tigers, cooled off a little bit today by the White Sox 6-3, but it had a 7-game winning streak and had gotten to within 2 games of the Cleveland Indians. Cleveland winning today big over Minnesota, so their lead back to 3. Adam Jones, as you would expect, taking a rip at that first pitch. 0-1. Jones has struck out and skied to center. On the fist, Rua. That ball not hit high enough in the air for Ryan to be able to catch up to it. Well, we talk about Adam Jones swinging at the first pitch, the second pitch, whatever. Well, there's exactly how many times he swings at pitch. 59.6%, almost 60% of the time. That's the second highest in Major League Baseball. The average is just over 46%. And Jonathan Scope, his teammate, is the highest.
They're pretty amazing hitters. Those stats aren't secrets, which tells the pitcher, don't throw him a good pitch to hit. He's going to swing anyway.
Right.
So they're getting stuff close enough where they can hit well. They're both having great seasons. Scope's hitting .285 with 17 home runs. Jones hitting around .270 with 20 home runs. It doesn't help their on-base percentage, but hasn't taken a lot away from the success they have when they make contact with the ball.
You're right about that.
They must be making contact with pitches out of the strike zone, because you have to think that's what pitchers are trying to do, keep it out of the strike zone.
0-2. Got him swinging. No, AJ gives up the back-to-back home runs and then hits Scope, and that's it. Stranded a runner for the Orioles. On to the 6th. Rangers leading 4-2. By Sonic. Tonight's jackpot is $500 and dinner for two at Sonic Drive-In. If a Ranger hits a home run during this inning, Jonna Crisp of Rush, Texas will win $500. And if a Ranger hits a grand slam, Jonna is going to win $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. Well, Michael Gibbons has come out of the Oriole bullpen to take over now. Wade Miley finished after 5 innings of work, and Michael Gibbons, hard-throwing right-hander, on for the 42nd time this year, 8-1. So he has been in a lot of comeback modes for these Orioles.
I hate to see this guy in right now with behind 4-2 with 8 wins. We're in a lot of games like this, probably.
Wade Miley goes 5 innings. That was 4 runs. They were all earned on 8 base hits. Lucroy, the foul tip. It is 1-2. Our AT&T high-speed internet replay. Jonathan Lucroy, his first Ranger home run. He had a laser out of here. That got the Rangers going tonight in the 2nd inning. Lucroy, his 14th home run of the season. He is 1 out of 2, having grounded out in the 4th. Now leading off the 6th. A little bit inside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Lucroy, who played his college baseball at Louisiana Lafayette University. Pokes a pretty good pitch back into the seats. Still 2-2. Gibbons staring in for the signs. Got him swinging. Well, Lucroy, the first out of this 7th inning. And now Ryan Rua called back to the Ranger dugout. Mitch Moreland grabs a bat. He will come on as a pinch hitter for Rua. Stay in the ballgame to play first base. And our Ford leaderboard, talking about home runs on the road this year. Toronto back out in front of the Rangers. They leapfrog over Texas, but Rangers with 1 more tonight, now up to 80 away from Globe Life Park in Arlington. Moreland loops one into right center. That's going to fall for a base hit in front of Adam Jones. Well, Mitch Moreland, who had his 7-game hitting streak snapped here last night. But he's starting a new streak with that one-out single here in the 6th inning. Well, the Rangers' 9th hit of the night. Moreland aboard, and here's Elvis Andrus, who has one of those 9 hits, a double his last time up. Elvis fouled out to right in the 2nd inning. His double led off the 5th. Michael Gibbons, a 26-year-old right-hander from Tampa, Florida. Gibbons originally signed by the Orioles back in the 2nd round of the 2009 draft. He signed as a position player, converted to pitching for the 2013 season. That's becoming more and more in vogue. I saw where James Jones from the Rangers is converting to pitching.
If you've got a great arm and you've kind of run the course as a position player, it's worth giving it a try.
Matt Bush, a current member of the Ranger bullpen. #1 draft choice as a shortstop converted.
Elvis was guessing a fastball right there. Gibbons didn't give him one. That's a nasty breaking ball to throw to a right-hand hitter.
2-2. Machado can't get it out of the glove, so he has to throw across the diamond to get Andrus. Moreland into 2nd safely. He is in scoring position now for Delino DeShields. The Rangers caught a break there.
Yep, you could only get one out. Unfortunately, it wasn't the lead runner. Oh, a little base hit. One thing you want to do if you're the Rangers in this park against this team is score and keep scoring. They play great baseball in this park. No one's won more games at home than they have.
Yep.
No one's hit more home runs at home than they have. Seen 2 wins here by the Orioles and 2 home runs tonight.
Delino takes a strike. DeShields 1 for 2. Doubled and scored in the 3rd. Tried to bunt Elvis over from 2nd in the 5th inning, but the bunt was not successful. Well, Delino got on by the fielder's choice and scored that inning. He's down in the count to Gibbons here at no balls and 2 strikes.
So those are pretty much the identical pitch. Can't even see the first one on our Fox tracks. But every bit of it is underneath the 2nd pitch.
Got him swinging. Gibbons gets the punch out. He strikes out 2 in the inning. Rangers gone, no runs, a hit, 1 left. After 5.5, it's the Rangers 4, the Orioles 2. Happy to see their club on top 4-2 as we head to the sixth inning. Mitch Moreland stays in the ball game and takes over at first base. Mitch had the pinch hit single for Ryan Rua in the sixth inning. Well, tough part of the lineup now. A.J. Griffin trying to nurse that two-run lead through this frame. He'll face Kim, Machado, and Davis for the Orioles. Drive to right field. It's a 4-3 game. Kim with his fourth home run of the year. The third Oriole home run in the last 6 hitters.
AJ had gotten in on Kim a couple of times, jammed him. That pitch was trying to get in, but Kim didn't let it. You can see Lucroy set up in, the pitch is in, down and in. Kim looked like he was ready for that one.
So it's a one-run ball game now. Manny Machado up there with nobody out. He takes strike one. Yoni Kella loosening in that Ranger bullpen. He was up at the start of this inning. Strike two to Machado. Do not adjust your TV sets, folks. The Fox box under repair at the moment. It'll be back with you momentarily. Big breaking ball to Machado. He's able to lay off 1 ball and 2 strikes. Machado has flied to center and struck out. 0 for 2 tonight, hitting at .302 currently. Jam shot, a pop-up to left field. Delino makes that grab. That's out number 1. Good pitch by A.J. Griffin.
Got that one where he wanted it. Got that far enough in, far enough up where Machado had to be a little bit concerned about that slow breaking ball.
Well, here's Chris Davis. Davis had a base hit off the glove of Rougned Odor his first time up, and he takes ball 1. Last time up, Davis flied out to medium deep right center field. Pops this one foul back into the seats. The count evens and a ball and a strike. Davis now 2 out of 8 in this series against the Rangers. Another foul ball makes it 1-2. Chris, who came up with the Rangers back in 2008. Came over to the Orioles, and well, they've just stuck with him. He's been a real catalyst for this ball club. 2-2 to Davis. 1 out, a run across on the leadoff home run. Now 3-2. Davis running the count full. Davis hitting 4th in the order, will be followed by Mark Trumbo.
I wouldn't think that AJ is going to face Trumbo again.
Dead center field. This one playable. Desmond in front of the warning track. That is out number 2.
Face him with nobody on, but Davis got on. I don't think he would have.
I don't think he's going to face him now.
He's not going to face him with nobody on either.
Well, AJ, when he turns around, he's going to see Jeff Bannister walking out to the mound. I don't think Jeff's going to take a chance with Trumbo representing the tying run after Trumbo hit one off the batter's eye in dead center field last time. We'll see if the skipper's going out there. He wants the bullpen to go to work. 5 2/3 tonight for A.J. Griffin. He leaves with the ball club leading 4-3. Keone Kela will come on to face Mark Trumbo. We will take a timeout. We're back to Camden Yards right after this on Fox Sports Southwest. The game on Sunday, August 14th, will be treated to an Adrian Beltre removable helmet bobblehead. That's courtesy of Ditto Tire. Be one of the first 15,000 fans to the Rangers-Tigers game that afternoon and collect this one-of-a-kind bobblehead. Find your tickets at TexasRangers.com. And remember, remove Adrian's helmet at your own risk. Now, Keone Kela, 23-year-old right-hander on now, and he is asked to get Mark Trumbo to end this 6th inning. First pitch outside to him. Kela worked on Sunday against Kansas City. This is his 16th appearance of the year. He is unscored upon in his last 7 outings. 5.40 ERA on its way down. The 185 opponent's batting average against him. As he misses low to Trumbo, it's 2 balls and no strikes. A.J. Griffin, 5 2/3, gave up 5 hits, 3 runs. They were all earned. They all came on solo home runs. No walks, 6 strikeouts.
Well, no walks was definitely a key for him tonight. Fortunately, the 3 home runs all came with nobody on base. 5 hits, 3 of them were solo shots.
Tapper foul by Trumbo. Yeah, you have to be resigned to the fact that you're probably going to give up home runs to this club in Baltimore.
Yeah.
You understand that, and you keep the people off base before him. You don't get hurt that badly. Hyun-Soo Kim had the home run to lead off this 6th inning. 2-1 pitch to Trumbo. He's fouled straight down. It's 2-2. Trumbo 0 for 2 in previous matchups with Keone. Kela came back off the disabled list for his outing on the 16th of July in Chicago, right after the All-Star break. The 2-2 pitch. Got him swinging. Good breaking ball, and Kela strikes out Trumbo, and that ends the 6th inning for the Baltimore Orioles. They get a run on the leadoff home run. Will go to the 7th. Rangers leading 4-3. Top of the 7th inning, it's time for our board-game summary. Jonathan Lucroy, his first Ranger home run in the 2nd inning. Got the Rangers on top 1-0. Carlos Beltran looped an RBI single off the glove of Jonathan Scope. RBI in the 6th, made it a 4-0 game. Then back came the Orioles. Home runs by Trumbo, Alvarez, and Kim. All 3 solo home runs. Him leading off the 6th inning. So we go to the 7th. Rangers leading by 1. And it's the top of the order. Shin-Soo Choo to start things off against Michael Givens. Choo 2 for 3 in his return to the lineup. He has singled and doubled and has scored a run. Takes inside. 2 balls, no strikes.
Now they're asking Jeff Bannister before the game, was he comfortable with Chu starting a game without a rehab assignment? And he said, yeah, he loved the way he was swinging the bat. He's healthy. Didn't see any need for it. He was able to do a lot of extra things while he was exercising his back to improve it. And based on the way he swung the bat tonight, looks like he definitely paid that opinion off.
Yeah. 2-1 the count to him. Now 2-2 on the foul ball. But Chu has faced Givens just one other time. Grounded out against him. Rangers 4 runs on 9 hits tonight. The Orioles 3 runs on 5 hits. In tight, 3-2. So Chu trying to get aboard to lead off the Rangers' 7th inning. Ian Desmond, who has a couple of RBI waiting in the on-deck circle. Given set, the payoff pitch. Chu's going to have to. He didn't break the bat. I thought he sounded like a cracked bat. Must have that better wood that doesn't break that easily. Well, we will try the 3-2 pitch again. Got him swinging. Givens with his 3rd strikeout. 1 gone. Ian Desmond coming up.
Givens is tough. He has that sweeping sidearm delivery and enough of a breaking ball to keep you off his fastball. Good movement on his fastball. Good velocity as well.
Now here's Ian Desmond, who is 1 for 3. Desmond had the RBI single in the 5th inning. An RBI ground out in the 3rd. Ian now with 65 runs driven in. 0-2. Well, you can see why Michael Givens would be so tough against right-handers. And the delivery you're talking about, Tom, and his stuff is extremely tough. Got him swinging.
Yeah, the slider he throws is very tough for a right-hand hitter. And you know, you look at your at bat. If you get a fastball early in the count, that's the one to try to hit. And he gets ahead of you, and you're not sure whether it's going to be a mid-90s fastball or that hard slider. It's kind of got control of the at bat. Right-handers haven't had much of a shot at that slider.
Givens has struck out 4 in the 5 outs he has recorded. And Carlos Beltran lining one to right. Coming on is Trumbo, and he makes the grab. That'll do it. The Rangers go down in order. We will take the stretch at Oriole Park in Camden Yards with the Rangers leading the Birds 4-3. Newest Ranger, the bullpen, Jeremy Jeffress, now has come into the ballgame. Jeffress, the closer with the Milwaukee Brewers before coming over. The last 14 games with Milwaukee, he went 1-0, a very minuscule ERA of 0.69, 1 earned run in 13 innings. Opponents hit .224 against him, and with runners in scoring position, hit a .154. Jeffress on now to take over on the hill. He becomes the third pitcher used by Jeff Bannister tonight. Jeffress, 47 appearances overall prior to tonight, 2-2. Had 27 saves for Milwaukee in the league, hitting .262 against him.
I was interested to read what Lucroy had to say about him, how much he liked him. They're best friends going back to their minor league days, but he said when he keeps the ball down with his sinking action, it's very difficult to hit.
And the first pitch is ripped to left field by Pedro Alvarez for a base hit.
Well, the Rangers have definitely caught Pedro Alvarez when he's hot. He is swinging it, boy. And that was a sinker that stayed up. That one wasn't down. That was high and up out over the plate.
Well, the first pitch in a Ranger uniform for Jeremy Jeffress for an opposite field single. 1 on, nobody out. Matt Wieters now will step in. Jeffress, a 28-year-old, was tied for 5th in the National League in saves. .222 ERA, and Jeffress has been around a little bit. It was a strike to the outside corner. Jeffress selected by the Brewers in the 16th overall pick in the first round of 2006. Also spent some time in Kansas City and Toronto. Wieters tonight 0 for 2, a couple of pop outs. Double play ground ball. Odor, Andrews, Moreland. There you go.
Well, when you've got that kind of a sinker, Buzz, that's what you get is ground balls. And the first sinker that Alvarez hit was high. The next sinker, at least this sinker, this one goes down and away. You can see Wieters hit it on the top of the ball off the end of the bat. Couldn't have had a better ball for a double play. I guess unless it was a little closer to second base and a shorter flip, but we'll take that one right there.
Second double play of the night, 141st double play of the year for the Rangers. By far the most in baseball. So bases empty, 2 away. Jonathan Schoop up there. He takes that 96-mile-an-hour sinker right at the bottom of the strike zone. Well, you get Jeffress and Dyson throwing those turbo sinkers. You're going to have a lot of guys with broken bats.
Now, one of the things I'm sure Jeff Bannister likes about Jeremy pitching in this game is he's only given up 2 home runs in 44 innings, 45 innings now. And there's the reason why. There's a 96-mile-an-hour sinker that's hard to get in the air.
Holy cow. Now, I kind of feel the same way about Jeffress I did last year seeing Sam Dyson for the first few times. Like, how does anybody ever get a base hit off or hit the ball hard off?
At least with Jeffress, he had 27 saves, so you figure, I don't know what it is, but it must be pretty good with Dyson. I never even heard of him.
Off-speed pitch, and that's popped out of play down the right side.
You know, you get him, and I don't want to downgrade Tomas Telis, but you know, he was a minor league catcher that I'm not sure, probably you would forecast him as a backup catcher. And then you get someone like Sam who came in throwing 98 miles an hour, and you go, wow, how did we do that?
Somebody got tricked. 0-2 the count. Schoop has been hit by a pitch and struck out tonight. High chopper, Elvis charging. Gets it in the air, throws, and it's off the glove of Moreland. It bounces away. Schoop will stay at first on an infield single.
I guess that's one of the perils right there of a sinker ball pitcher. You're going to give up ground balls. That one was such a good sinker. He hit right on top of it, just beat it right straight down in the ground, and saw the result. Infield hit.
Yeah, I'm not sure even a perfect throw would have, or a throw that Mitch could have gotten in the air would have, maybe would have been a bang play, but that still goes as a base hit. No, the tying run aboard with 2 outs. J.J. Hardy, now the number 9 man, will step in. Hardy, a single in the 3rd, popped out to short in the 5th inning. One ball and no strikes.
You look at Jeffers' numbers, mentioned only 2 home runs in 44 innings, only 11 walks. So he throws strikes and keeps the ball in the ballpark. That's a good combination for a closer.
Sure is. Hardy, a good fastball hitter with some power for a shortstop. Takes that one down and in. It's 2 balls and no strikes. Jeffers against right-handers held them to a .215 batting average. The 2-0 pitch. Beltre behind the bag at 3rd. Across to Moreland, and that will do it. Well, Jeremy Jeffers gives up a couple of base hits, and double play helps him out. 1 left aboard after 7. The Rangers by 1. Progressive would like to catch you up on the Rangers schedule in the near future, finishing up here tonight in Baltimore. And then it's on for a big weekend series down in Houston at Minute Maid against the Astros. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then a couple at Coors Field in Colorado against the Rockies. Back home to take on the Rockies. Got a home and home with them. Then the Tigers come in and Oakland comes in on the next homestand before the Rangers back on the road to Tampa Bay on the 19th. Logan Andrusek, the right-hander who lives in McKinney, on now to take over. Becomes the 3rd pitcher used by Buck Showalter tonight. McKinney, Andrusek, big right-hander at 6'8", listed at 215 pounds. Orioles signed Andrusek just a few days ago. Got him on the big league club. And he is on now to take on the Rangers here in the 8th inning. Adrian Beltre to lead things off. And he takes ball 1. Beltre tonight has twice flied to center. Struck out his first time. 0 for 3, hitting at .274. 1 ball and 1 strike.
It looks like he likes to throw a cutter. That's what the first 2 pitches were. 90 miles an hour.
Beltre shoots one inside the bag down the right field line. That's going to be extra bases. Trumbo over to play the carom off the sidewall. Beltre with another leadoff double for the Rangers, their third of the ball game.
That was a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. Looked like on the outside corner. Pretty good pitch to get the result, a double. Just kind of went with the pitch, hit it right down the line. Davis playing well off the line. It's a pretty good pitch to hit down the line for a double. Pretty tough pitch to hit, I should say. Let's see if the Rangers can pick up an insurance run here. Boy, against the Orioles, you sure feel more comfortable with extra runs.
That you do. Now here's Rougned Odor, who is 0 for 3 tonight. A couple of ground outs and a strikeout. After that first pitch, it's fouled back and out of play.
He was right on it, and if he hit it fair, he would have pulled it. That's what he's trying to do.
Matt Bush loosening in the Ranger bullpen. Logan Andrusek, a check of second. 1 ball, 1 strike. Andrusek originally taken by the Cincinnati Reds in the 13th round of the 2005 draft. He attended McLennan County Community College down in Waco. The 1-1. Andrusek graduated from St. Paul High School down in China. Beltre stepping off his lead at second. And the pitch is high and away. 3 balls and a strike. Odor trying to get aboard to join Beltre. Jonathan Lucroy, the Ranger catcher, in the on-deck circle. Ripped by Davis down the right field line. That's going to score. Beltre into second with the RBI 2-bagger. Rougned Odor. The Rangers increase their lead. It is 5-3.
Well, Rugi is trying to pull the ball. He's in a fastball count. It really doesn't matter how hard you throw the ball in that situation. Rugi was right on it. It's a cutter, inside corner, and there's the result. Same spot Beltre did. Different type of hit, though. Same result.
Yeah.
All right, so the same situation. Man on second, nobody out. See, get this one around, too.
Back-to-back doubles. Rangers have gone doubles crazy tonight. Jonathan Lucroy taking the first pitch down and in for ball 1. Lucroy 1 for 3. That solo home run got the Ranger scoring started tonight back in the second inning. Matt Waiters flashing out a series of signs. Logan Andrusek hits the outside corner. 1-1. Now the next pitch. Fouled off. 1 ball and 2 strikes. The Rangers now 5 runs on 11 hits this evening. And 5 doubles and a home run in those 11 hits. Rougned Odor 3 for 13 tonight of the Rangers. 283 their overall average. That's second in the American League, third in baseball. Right back to Andrusek. They're tossed to first after checking Rougned back to second. That's out number 1. Mitch Moreland coming to the plate. Right now we're going to send it back to Rick Renner for a Chevy game break. All right, Rick, thank you. A lot of guys changing teams, getting their firsts tonight. Jonathan Lucroy, his first Ranger home run. gave Bruce his first New York home run. Here's Mitch. Mitch was thinking about his first home run of the night, too. Orland came on, got a pinch hit single in the 6th inning. That was off of Michael Givens. Mitch batting at .250, trying to get Rougned Odor in from second. Pops one foul, and he finds himself down in an 0-2 hole. Outfield plays Moreland slightly the opposite way. Infield, maybe a step around to the right. Well, we've seen everything from an all-out shift against Mitch to pretty much straight away here. Another foul ball. This just goes to show you different teams look at the same statistics and have different analyses of them. Buck Showalter's club, at least tonight against Mitch, not playing around to the right with Andrusek on the mound. Ground ball to Chris Davis at first. That's out number 2. On to third goes Rougned Odor. He will be there now for Elvis Andrus. Elvis tonight has a double in 3 trips. Average of .292. He was the Ranger RBI leader for the month of July. He's kind of slowed down a little bit of late, but still on pace to establish a new career high for himself. 67 is the most he's ever driven in, and right now he's at 46. Oh, 0-1. Slowly hit to third. Machado on the run gets it. Nice play by Manny Machado. That'll do it. The Rangers, though, with back-to-back doubles, add on a run. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Rangers leading the Orioles 5-3.
Lead as we head to the bottom of the 8th here in Baltimore. It's not getaway day, but getaway night. As soon as this one is over, It's off to Houston, where the Rangers take on the Astros and continue the Silver Boot Series. Rangers have been very good against the Astros this year, and in this graphic, you'll see the advantage Rangers. The numbers are very similar, but Ian Desmond with the higher average. Rangers 8-1 against the Astros this year, and the Astros playing tonight in Houston, trailing Toronto 1-0 in the top of the fifth. AT&T high-speed internet reminds me to remind you we're back on Central Time tomorrow, 6:30, your start time for Rangers Live. Guys?
All right, John, thank you. Big series coming up. Big inning here for Matt Bush as he takes over in the 8th inning. Matt worked an inning last night. Asked here to face the top of the order, Jones, Kim, and Machado. His pitch to Adam Jones is blown away for ball 1. Jones has struck out twice and flied out this evening. Matt Bush appearing for the 35th time this year. The league is hitting .221 against the right-hander. That was out of play. That little giddy up on that fastball at 95. Rangers 5 runs on 11 hits tonight. The Orioles 3 runs on 7 hits. Neither team has committed an error this evening. What in the world did that thing do? That was that two-seam fastball.
He threw one last night that it looked like a left-handed slider. I'm starting to break that thing out. This thing's not only got mid-90s velocity, it's got some great movement on it, too.
Well, to say Matt Bush has a live arm is the understatement of the decade, probably.
Yeah, he's kind of shown that he can do a lot of different things with the ball.
How about Adrian Beltre scrambling up and throwing out Jones? Adam Jones.
He ran right into Hunter Wendelstedt. Hunter Wendelstedt looked at him, raised his hand, said, "You're out."
Twice.
Yep, you're out, son. That ball just seems to find the middle of Adrian's glove.
Every time.
He's so lucky.
Yeah. Oh, one away. Gun-Soo Kim, who homered his last time up, takes low for ball 1.
All he has to do is put his glove down, goes right into it.
It's that glove magnet. He's got that working. Pretty good footwork over there around first by Mitch Morton. Kim 1 out of 3 with that solo home run. 2 balls and no strikes. That pitch is low. It's 3-0. For Matt, struggling a little bit to find the strike zone to Kim. Kim hitting second in the order. Manny Machado, the number 3 man, is next.
And we're talking about one of the things you have to do against the Orioles is not walk anybody. So far, they haven't walked anybody.
Let's see if Matt can come all the way back from the 3-0 count. Bush has walked 8 this year and just over 35 innings. 3-1. Out of play, and that fills the count. Kim, whose 4th home run of the year, came off A.J. Griffin leading off the 6th inning. Up there now, the count full, and Matt Bush is ready. Line drive to center, and Ian Desmond will lay back and play it on a couple of hops. Oh, 1-out single has Kim aboard for Machado.
Well, came back and threw him a strike. Guys are going to be able to hit the ball and get their hits. You don't want to walk them. And Matt came back from a 3-0 count, made a good pitch with his fastball and jammed Kim. And he just kind of fought it off and looped that soft line drive in the left center field. Not much you can do about that.
Jake Diekman, the Ranger left-hander, up and loosening.
You would think he would face Chris Davis.
barring a double play.
Yep, maybe he won't have to. Definitely Alvarez.
Machado 0 for 3, a couple of flyouts and a strikeout.
Oh, you're right. There you go. He's not going to face him.
They turn it over. 6-4-3, third double play turned by the Rangers tonight. So that removes the one-out base hit. Matt Bush faces 3, and the Orioles are gone in the 8th inning. On to the 9th we go. Rangers leading 5-3. Well, Matt Bush able to work around the single that he gave up. The double play took care of it. Talking with Colby Lewis on that Ranger bench. Vance Worley has come into the ballgame to take over on the hill for the Orioles. Worley, big 6'2", 250-pound right-hander. 24th appearance of the year. He's had 4 starts, 2-1 with a 2.89 ERA. Liner to Shields, the number 9 man, is leading things off against Worley.
I forgot about the guy that sits down in front of us down here. He's got a fake microphone, and he announces the pitcher.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen. I hadn't heard him in the beginning of the series.
You can hear him up here as clear as a bell, too.
I just heard him announcing Worley. The funny part is a little fake microphone he's got. There he is. Got a loud voice. Let's see his microphone.
Pitch is low to Delino. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Delino tonight, a double and a run scored. Couple of runs scored. Also scored a run in his second at bat as he reached on a fielder's choice. Chopper wide of third. Machado throws out Delino by a step. 1 gone. I'll take the Rangers back to the top of the order and Shin-Soo Choo. Worley originally came up with the Phillies. Made his major league debut back in 2010. He was the 3rd round draft pick by the Phillies in the 2008 draft. Played at Long Beach State University. Shin-Soo Choo with his 5th at bat of the night. 2 for 4 thus far. A single and a double. He has scored a run. 0-1. Nice to have Choo back at the top of the lineup, and he got everything going tonight. Had the double in the first, even though it didn't lead directly to a run then. Next time he got on, it sure did. A lot lot of good at-bats again for Chu tonight. Long at-bats. He's used a lot of pitches. He sets the table for the Ranger. Rest of the Ranger order. And the 0-2. And Sam Dyson, the Ranger closer, getting ready for the bottom of the ninth. Worley to the wind, the 0-2 pitch again. Jeff Bannister familiar with Vance Worley. He was with the Pirates 2014 and last year. Orioles claimed him off waivers last October. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Got him swinging. Chu gone on strikes, 2 away. Ian Desmond coming up. Folks, MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, delivers everything you've come to expect and a lot more. Watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. It includes a free subscription to At Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Just visit MLB.TV for more details. Desmond shoots one out to second, and Scope throws him out. Vance Worley has a quick and easy 9th inning. Rangers gone in order. Sam Dyson coming on in to face the Orioles. Rangers have a 2-run lead as we head to the bottom of the ninth. Broadcaster turned fan. He is announcing that Sam Dyson's going to be pitching. And there's his microphone. He's got that all going. He let the folks down there know that Sam Dyson has come on. His 52nd appearance of the year. Sam 1-2, 22 out of 24 in the save opportunity category. League hitting just .234 against him. Sam with 35 strikeouts in 48 and a 3rd inning. So he is asked to face the middle third of the Baltimore Oriole lineup here in the 9th inning. Chris Davis, Mark Trumbo, and Pedro Alvarez. Sam Dyson, the 5th pitcher used tonight. A.J. Griffin with the first 5 2/3. Yoni Kella a 3rd, and 1 each by Jeremy Jeffress and Matt Bush. Ball 1 to Davis, who is 1 for 3. Chris had a base hit back in the 2nd, and since then has twice flied to center field. Rangers in the extreme overshift with Rougned Odor out in medium right field. Right back to Dyson.
That's a good start. Put the leadoff hitter.
Yep, sharp one hopper, and Sam gets out number 1. Well, we talk about the importance of retiring that leadoff man, but in a 2-run game, even more important.
With Trumbo coming up next.
With Trumbo coming up, yeah. Put that leadoff man aboard, and all of a sudden Trumbo's got that ability to tie the game with one swing. And Trumbo has already homered once tonight. That was off A.J. Griffin leading off the 5th. Sam with that turbo sinker. 0-1. Sam Dyson trying to close this out for the Rangers. Rangers snapped that 2-game losing streak. Scored more runs in this ballgame than they did the first 2 games combined against Baltimore pitching. The 0-1. That will even the count. A.J. Griffin, the pitcher of record for the Rangers. Dyson's next pitch to Trumbo. Game with a slider. 2-1.
It's kind of the same thing is true with Trumbo. You don't want him to get on for Alvarez, who's maybe swinging the bat better than anybody else on the team against right-hand pitching. Ouch.
Beltre. Nice belt high hop. 2 gone.
A couple of weak ground balls right there.
These Trumbo's got by the mound. Put Beltre there to clean it up. Go 2 away and you got your wish, Don.
Nobody on base, I'm glad.
One swing of the bat will not tie this ball game. And yeah, with Pedro Alvarez up there, who was homered and single tonight, very important.
Well, that's been a key tonight. No walks.
Alvarez 1 out of 2 against Dyson in previous matchups. He has been extremely hot, over 400 if you remember that graphic we showed you his last time up there. Last 15 games or so he has been on fire. Rangers now will shift all the way around to the infield. 1-0 pitch. Chopper. Dyson can't get it, but he's right at the bag. And he is safe. He couldn't recover it while it was lying on the bag. And Jeff Bannister immediately out of the Ranger dugout. Steve Buechele talking to the folks upstairs, to Bobby Jones and Adam Brennan. See if they get a replay that they can look at. And Jeff Bannister, I want you guys to take a look at that, if you would.
That was a great try by Sam. It might have been an easier play for Mitch, but it was a great try for Sam.
He was definitely on the bag. Part of his body was on the bag at some point. But now
I don't
think he got that knee back there in time.
If he was a little bit slower to the ball, he would have been better off, because I think Mitch would have caught it and just stepped on the bag. Mitch was sitting there waiting for it to come down. Sam saw it high in the air and went for it, just couldn't quite get there in time.
Hunter Wendelstedt. Crew Chief Jerry Lane with the headsets on. Our Ford challenge by the Rangers tonight. Call on the field safe at first. Well, there would have to be clear and convincing evidence that the call was incorrect. We got a very quick decision, and the call was probably confirmed. I would recall stands. There was not clear and convincing evidence. No, an infield single. Puts Alvarez aboard. We understand that call now was confirmed. Base hit. Well, Matt Waiters is up there now, and he represents the tying run after that infield hit. Waiters 0 for 3 tonight. He has popped out twice and grounded out. To left field, the liner to Shields, in and to his right, makes the catch, and that is a winner. Sam Dyson closes it out, gives up just the infield hit, The Rangers win the finale of this 3-game set, snap their 2-game losing streak. 5-3 the final, as A.J. Griffin gets his 5th win of the year. 23rd save of the season for Sam Dyson in 25 opportunities. And Jeff Bannister's club now will head down to Houston with a win under their belt. So the Rangers get it done tonight. A very good all-around ball game for the Rangers. They had 5 doubles in their total of 11 hits tonight and a home run. Shin-Soo Choo back in that leadoff spot. Got things going very effectively tonight. Jonathan Lucroy with his first Ranger home run opened up the scoring.